Marta Vicarelli. I'm a faculty at the University of Massachusetts Amherst in the Department of Economics and in the School of Public Policy. And I will present the results of a study with my co-authors that you see listed here, a study that focuses on the cost effectiveness of nature-based solutions for disaster risk reduction. With this slide, I would also like to thank my research assistants in this project. The motivation for our project, there is ample and growing anecdotal evidence of the benefits of ecosystems and ecosystem services to achieve sustainability goals, from disaster risk reduction to climate change mitigation and adaptation. The role of ecosystems and ecosystem services has been recognized in major international framework agreements. And you see here, just for instance, the COP27, the Convention on Biodiversity. However, there are some limitations related to the amount of scientific knowledge we have related to economic performance of nature-based solutions. Specifically, their cost effectiveness or efficiency and equity and distributional considerations. I would like to pause for a second and emphasize the fact that nature-based solutions do have many co-benefits. Besides eco-DRR having benefits related to preventive services, protective services, nature-based solutions have also benefits related to other regulatory services, provisioning services, and cultural services. So our research question was to assess the scientific knowledge on the cost effectiveness and equity implications or distribution implications of nature-based solutions, with a focus on eco-DRR programs for climate adaptation and climate mitigation. But important criteria was eco-DRR. To answer the research question, we developed an extensive literature review and created a database. The inclusion criteria for the database was that the study performed an economic assessment of net benefits of the nature-based solution intervention, that the economic assessment included protective services, and that the study performed a comparison between at least two scenarios, a scenario with the nature-based solution and a scenario without the nature-based solution, for example, a baseline, no intervention, or an intervention of a different kind, for instance, engineering-based strategies. This slide gives a glimpse to our search and review protocol. We started with 20,000 studies, and after iterative review, we developed a database of 87 studies. We were very conservative, and these studies are published between 2000 and 2021, all focusing on economic valuation of nature-based solutions with protective services. Key findings. First finding is that when we look at the time series of our publications in the database, you see an increase in the number of publications after major nature-based solutions milestones and international climate initiatives. You see this after the IPCC special report on extreme events, after Sendai framework for disaster risk reduction, continued after COP21, the Paris Agreement, and again, the latest uptick is in correspondence to the European Green Deal. This heat map of our publications by theme shows that when comparing publications by type of ecosystem analyzed and type of hazard analyzed, the majority of publications are concentrated in an area corresponding to studies on coastal ecosystems, wetland ecosystems, and in terms of hazard, the most frequently studied hazards are floods and storms and erosion. There are some literature gaps related to avalanches, droughts, and forest fires. This slide presents two types of information: property rights structures of the nature-based solutions analyzed and the sources of financing. In terms of property rights structure, we looked at ownership and management of the nature-based solutions analyzed in the articles, and we broke down the information by type of ecosystem. And we did the same in terms of sources of financing. The legend is combined, is the same. Dark blue means public, teal means private, yellow is a mix. So if we focus on property rights, you see that the predominant property rights structure is a mixed structure. And if you look at sources of finance, the predominant source of financing for the nature-based solutions analyzed is public financing. This map shows the geographic distributions of the observations associated with each article. We have 87 articles corresponding to 402 observations. There are more observations. There is more than one observation per article. We geolocalize the observations, and the dots correspond to the observations in the database. The yellow dots are observations in articles or studies that found that nature-based solutions are cost-effective in mitigating hazards. The blue dots correspond to observations from studies that found that nature-based solutions are cost-effective in mitigating hazards under certain circumstances. We found no study that indicated that nature-based solutions are not cost-effective in mitigating hazards. In more detail, 71% of studies indicated that nature-based solutions are cost-effective in mitigating hazards, and only 24 found that they are effective under certain circumstances. You see down here the breakdown by type of ecosystem. We examined where our studies compared nature-based solutions and engineering-based solutions and found that 39% of studies do. Of these 39% of studies in our database, 65% of studies found that nature-based solutions are more cost-effective than engineering-based solutions in mitigating hazards. And 26% found they are nature-based solutions are more cost-effective than engineering-based solutions under certain circumstances. No study found that nature-based solutions are more cost-effective than engineering-based solutions that nature-based solutions are less cost-effective than engineering-based solutions in mitigating hazards. Interestingly for us, only 48% of studies in our database found that the nature-based solutions analyzed recognized that the nature-based solutions analyzed contributed to biodiversity benefits. This doesn't mean that nature-based solutions do not contribute to biodiversity benefits, but it was acknowledged and discussed in a subset of the studies. In these studies, only a very small percentage attempted to measure and quantify and evaluate the biodiversity benefits of nature-based solutions. Only 30% of studies examined the equity and inclusion dimensions of the nature-based solutions examined. In particular, in relation to income inequalities, gender, race, ethnicity, participation of indigenous groups and local communities in the implementation and management of the nature-based solutions, and contribution of the interventions to the Sustainable Development Goals. So essentially, there is very little research done on equity and inclusion. Lastly, we cataloged all the different types of methodologies used for economic valuation. We are not going to go through all the details of this slide, but what stood out, for instance, in this analysis was that only 22% of studies performed cost-benefit analysis, which is a very widespread decision-making strategies in the policy world. In conclusion, With a high to very high degree of confidence, our results indicated that nature-based solutions are cost-effective in mitigating hazards, and none of the studies examined found NBS ineffective in mitigating hazards. We also found that benefits are underestimated. They are not always. Not all benefits are taken into account in the economic valuations. And our exam of financing shows that nature-based solutions are financed primarily by the public sector. This is interesting for us because it shows that there is potential for upscaling by involving the private sector through innovative financing strategies. So NBS emerges as an important tool, promising tool to mitigate the combined biodiversity and climate crisis. And the last observation that emerged from the studies in our database is that ecosystem conservation appears more efficient than restoration in relation to protective services, because the protection provided by the ecosystem is achieved at a lower cost. Final recommendations: importance of taking all benefits of nature-based solutions into account when performing economic valuation. This is possible only by expanding data collection efforts to capture socioeconomic as well as ecosystemic benefits, engaging local stakeholders, and adopting really comprehensive economic valuation methods. Thank you very much for following my presentation. And in this last slide, I would like to acknowledge and thank again my co-authors and all the organizations that supported us: the University of Massachusetts, Amherst College, PEDR, il Centro Euro-Mediterraneo sui Cambiamenti Climatici, and the University of Cologne. And thank you very much.